What is going on, YouTube? Welcome to the Living Free channel. My name is Tyler Freed, and right now I am in Montana. I'm in just outside of Bozeman, Montana, and I am headed east. I got a load out of Three Forks, Montana, and I'm headed down to Jackson, Tennessee. So a nice long load, and I did want to do a windshield view video today because I'm driving in one of my favorite parts of the country, and I did want to talk about a specific subject though while I was filming this scenery. But yeah, I just wanted to let y'all know what you're looking at. I'm on I-90 out here in western Montana, and I gotta say, I think Montana, specifically like western Montana, and I do also like the panhandle of Idaho, but this part of the country might actually be my favorite part of the country, to be honest with you. Even over Arizona, Utah, California, I don't know, just something about, and that's my truck cooling off. I got the engine fan going on because I've been climbing mountains, and I've got a really heavy load. But anyway, yeah, like this has to be one of my favorite parts of the country, to be honest with you. I mean, I love Utah, Arizona, California, you know, even parts of Nevada, but man, you know, up here, especially in the warmer months, you know, Montana and Idaho and Washington and Oregon, I mean, it's just absolutely breathtaking what you see up here in the Northwest. And so it's a real privilege to be able to get to drive out here. I just wanted to talk about that because you know, I like to share kind of some of my personal views and what I enjoy out here on the road and what I don't enjoy, but I always look forward to coming out here. So anyway, I'm going to get right into the subject. If you're new to the channel, don't worry. Normally I do get straight to the point, but when I'm doing a windshield view video like I'm doing now, again, I like to talk about where I'm at, what I'm doing, what I like about it, and all that. So that's that. But what is the subject for today? Well, the subject for today is do not make trucking your only income. If you are somebody that is looking at getting into trucking, or you're already in it, it doesn't really matter whether you're inexperienced, have no experience, or you have a lot of experience. It doesn't really matter. What I'm about to talk about really applies to just about everybody in this industry, and it's something I talk about a lot, but I like to bring up these subjects all of the time in my videos and consistently. Well, one, because my message never changes, and two, because there's always new viewers on the channel, and you know, most people are not gonna watch my new video and go back and watch all my old videos where I talk about this. So I like to update and make new content where I'm discussing this subject. But I'm going to specifically hone in on how to not make trucking your only income, and specifically how, or what I believe to be the best way to go about doing that and what to invest in. And, you know, I haven't really elaborated much on this, actually. I talk a lot about, you know, hey, very generic stuff like, hey, you know, once you get out of debt, have an emergency fund, start investing in assets. And I'm very specific on cash flow producing assets that go up in value over time. So that could be a lot of different things. That could be real estate, like rental property. That would be considered a cash flow producing asset. Stocks would be considered a cash flow producing asset, whether that be a single stock or whether that be a index fund or a mutual fund. You know, if it's paying a dividend and it's appreciating over time, then that would be considered a cash flow producing asset. And so you know, that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. So for things like crypto, gold, silver, you know, any commodities, no, I do not invest in those things, and I don't tell other people to do so. Not saying that you can't make money in them. I just don't do it myself. I don't like to put my money in anything that doesn't produce a cash flow. Even if you own a stock that doesn't pay a dividend, that can be considered a cash flow producing asset. And here's why. Because when you own stock in a company, let's say that company doesn't pay a dividend, but it's producing positive cash flow every quarter, and it's profiting, and it's growing its revenues and its profits over time, that would also be considered a cash flow producing asset that's going up in value over time. Because as a company's earnings increase and as they expand, typically that reflects in the stock price over time. A lot of times companies don't pay a dividend because they're wanting to reinvest those profits back into the company to grow it, rather than pay it out to shareholders and not reinvest that money. So I would also consider a stock that doesn't pay a dividend to be a cash flow producing asset, so long as the company itself is profitable and is growing its revenues, growing its profits over time. That I would consider a cash flow producing asset. Or your own business, right? If you're somebody that starts their own company and you're somebody that's planning on growing that company and expanding, that's also considered a cash flow producing asset, as long as your business is profitable and it's growing. And as you grow that business, same thing as a stock, owning a stock in another company. As your company grows, its bottom line and expands, it becomes more valuable, and it becomes a saleable asset eventually over time, right? And worth a lot more money than you began with. That's the goal of starting a business, is you start out with so much money and you grow that business over time, and eventually you hope to at least sell it to somebody, or you plan on just keeping it forever. I don't know, but either way, you're growing your money. Your money is making you money, and that is, again, the goal of starting your own business. So really, your own business, real estate, and owning stocks, whether that be mutual funds, index funds, or picking your own individual stocks, I consider those all to be cash flow producing assets. And so again, that does eliminate a lot of the things people put their money into. And so what do I do? I'm going to talk about what I do. And I just wanted to go over a lot of the different types of investments and things that I approve of. And why do I put my own money into cash flow producing assets? Well, I'm not a big fan of speculation. That's the thing. I do not like to speculate. Okay, and I believe that if you buy things that don't produce a cash flow, that you can't project its growth into the future, it's very hard to value that asset. Not that it doesn't have any value, but it's very hard to value that asset and project what it's going to be worth in the future. Not saying you won't make money. Again, if you buy gold and hold on to it, it's not to say you won't make money in 5 years. I don't know. I can't project that into the future because there is no revenue, there is no profits, there is no bottom line, there is no growth projection, right? And so I like to. You can do that with real estate. You can invest in single-family homes, or you can invest in multifamily homes. You can invest in commercial real estate, and as long as you're renting that property out and it's cash flow positive, and you hold on to that property over time, bought in a great location, over time, generally you're going to get that appreciation in the value of the property, and you're being paid over time. You can actually project numbers in real estate because it's a legitimate business. Real estate's a business just like anything else, right? And but when you talk about things like commodities or crypto, which a lot of people love crypto, not saying it's a bad idea to have some money in there, but I don't personally do it. And again, because crypto is the same thing, you can't really assign there's no fundamental value to it. There is a value, but there's no fundamental value in the sense of you can't project numbers out into the future, and you can't really tell what it'll be worth in 5 years, 10 years from now, because again, there's no revenue, there's no profits, right? And that's my problem with those different asset classes, commodities, and cryptocurrencies, right? That is my issue with them. So I just wanted to get that out of the way and be clear as to what I personally invest in or would invest in, and what I would tell anybody who asked my opinion, what to stay away from. So again, that leaves pretty much 3 categories: business, stocks, and real estate. That's what I'm into. So what is the topic of this video? This video is to talk about, hey, how to get your money into assets that pay you outside of trucking. See, most of you that watch me are into, most of you that watch me are into investing. A lot of you that have followed me for a long time, that's what drew you to my channel, is the fact that I do talk about things other than just trucking, right? And, so I like to make these videos because, how much can we talk about trucking? At some point, we got to get to a point where we're talking about things that actually benefit us financially. And that's, again, what, really started this channel and inspires me to do these videos. But, look, you're driving all the time. If you're a truck driver, I don't care if you're local, OTR, regional, dedicated, doesn't matter what type of truck driving you're doing. Most truck drivers are working 11 to 14 hours a day. I don't care what type of trucking you're doing. I don't care if you sleep in your bed every night. You are hold on, I'm trying to get through this construction zone, but you are working all day long. You are doing trucking all the time, right? And what can be really dangerous is, and not saying you can't make really good money in trucking, you can make great money. I think it's one of the best careers out there for a lot of people. I really do. You can make great money, and if you're wise with your money, you could become a multimillionaire. Even just staying as a company driver, you can do that. But the thing is you have to have a plan. And you also have to have the understanding that, hey, you can't just only make money from trucking. See, a lot of people, their only focus is on making money in trucking, right? And look, even if you own a fleet, right? If all of your money, if all you plan on doing is only having money in one business, in that fleet, in the long run, I think that's a mistake, right? I think that's a mistake, but at least the fleet owner has some diversification. Because if you own multiple trucks, you're a lot more diversified than the person that owns one. You're building a legitimate business versus owning a job, right? But still, you're putting all your money in one basket. And, that again, over the long run, now, if you're starting a business, at first, the first few years, you want to pretty much put everything into that business to get it going and make sure it's profitable and it's growing like you want it to. But at some point, it's time to take money out and invest in other asset classes. Again, stocks, real estate, maybe a different business, whatever. But look, most people watching this, most drivers, they are not business owners. They're not, or they are, but they own one truck or maybe one or two trucks. That's what they own. Most people watching me are company drivers or owner operators with one truck, okay? And so, look, most of you are making really good money. I seriously doubt any of you that are watching this video who have a year or more of experience are making anything less than $80,000 a year. I don't think any of you are making less than $80,000 a year. I don't. And so what does that mean? Well, if you're out of debt and you have an emergency fund of 6 months worth of living expenses, that is what I always recommend before you begin to invest. But if you have that in place, that typically means if that person's out of debt, that they have very low living expenses. They have a lot more income than they have expenses. That's the name of the game, is to have more income than expenses. Look, if your expenses are $4,000 a month and you're bringing in $7,000 a month, you've got $3,000 a month that you can save and invest. And that's the point, is to have margin in your life. Make as much money from your job. I'm saying go out there, make as much money as you can in trucking, for sure. Make as much money as you possibly can, but also have a plan to invest in other things. See, because if I invest in stocks or real estate, that's income that I'm not having to trade all of my time for, right? When I own, and I'm a big proponent of owning a low-cost index fund. I think that's a great way to invest for most people, especially in trucking, because a lot of people in trucking don't have time to even manage real estate. So putting your money in a passive investment over time is a great way to invest. If you want to learn more about index fund investing, then read the book The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. That'll tell you everything you need to know about index fund investing and how to go about doing that. But if you want to learn about real estate, there's plenty of options as far as books and videos and different YouTube channels that teach you how to invest in real estate. But look, the point is to diversify outside of your main thing. Don't just have your eggs in one basket, because also too, the thing is you got to have a retirement plan. At some point, you're not going to be able to drive anymore. And at some point, you're not going to be able to play this game, right? And you have to have your money, you have to be investing your money over time in assets that grow in value and produce cash flow, so that one day you no longer have to rely on driving this truck for a healthy living, and so that you can live your life outside of this truck, right? That's the goal. And I always preach, get out of debt, have an emergency fund, and invest in assets, and as large of a percentage as you can of your income into assets. And I guarantee you, look, if you can be out of debt and have an emergency fund and then start investing after that, just in a low-cost index fund, if you were to invest about 25%, I would say the average trucking income today, not what's on the internet, that's an old stat. Today, I would say the average truck driver that works full-time makes between like 80 and 100,000 a year. A lot of drivers make more than that. They do. But that's probably a good average for an experienced driver with a year more of experience, and they work full time. Okay, I'd say about 80 to 100,000 a year. So if you can save about, let's just say you make 100, if you can save 25% of your income for a 25 to 30 year career, that's $20 to $25,000 a year you're saving. And if you invest that wisely and you put that in a good low-cost index fund over a 20 to 30 year trucking career, you will retire with multiple millions of dollars. I mean, you will be a multimillionaire. Not just a millionaire, but a multimillionaire just by doing that. And you can still live a fantastic life along the way, because that's not a lot of money to invest 25% of your income. Well, let's say you do 30%, 40%, it's even more. Most people won't do this, but the point is to have a plan. Have a plan. I think anybody, no matter what you invest in, should be living debt-free. Anybody. And then I think that everybody should have a 6-month emergency fund in cash to cover any unforeseen expenses. Everybody. And then have a plan to invest. A lot of people don't like the stock market. Okay, have a plan to buy real estate. Have a plan to invest your money and make money outside of trucking. Because what if you can't drive anymore? Then what are you going to make money from? See, most people don't do that. When they go into any career, not just trucking, but people don't plan for the potential of, hey, you may not be able to do this forever. As a matter of fact, you won't be able to do this forever. Eventually, you will have to get out of it and go do something else. But wouldn't you like to do that at a younger age, and you're actually healthy too, to be able to enjoy your money and enjoy your life after trucking? So have a plan. The moral of the discussion today is have a plan. have a plan for your career, have a plan for your money, and don't make trucking your only source of income. It's a great source of earned income, but turn this earned income into passive income and capital gains income. That is my message for the day. That was a view of Montana. Western Montana, beautiful Western Montana. This is God's country out here. I absolutely love it. That's my video for today. I really appreciate each and every one of you guys for watching my channel. God bless. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe. Peace out, and stay tuned for the next video.